Begin again tonight.
Welcome to the NV Ranger & Co. offices. Today, though, we're NV Ranger and FTC because the NCR has contracted us to do a report on the advertising from the pre-war. They're looking for some fresh inspiration for a new propaganda, for a new a brainwash, that's not it, a motivational campaign to help citizens get involved in their country. Tell me, truthfully, no lying now, have you ever actually taken the time to just look at these giant billboard advertisements? They offer us a big window into the past. They're one of the few ways we can see into the pre-war era we know so little about. All right, first up on the chopping block, take a look at this one. Seems pretty standard as far as retro-futuristic ads go at first. Not sure the spacesuit is gonna help her much in space unless she's trying to thirst trap aliens, and I doubt that belt is keeping those skin-tight pants from going anywhere. But look a little closer. A little bit closer, right here. What does that say? Don't worry, it's not a quiz, I'll read it for you. Free Nuka Blaster toy with every box purchased. First of all, who the hell says box when referring to a case of soda? Is that a Boston thing? I've never heard that before. Yeah, hun, go buy a box of Nuka-Cola for the party tonight. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, the more pressing issue is pretty apparent if you pay close enough attention. Nuka-Cola is way the hell out of line here. I'm sure the pre-war had no shortage of man-children, but the word toy suggests this ad is being directed at children. Not the children. Not only are they trying to sell deliciously addictive and radioactive sugar soup in a bottle here, but they're also using an adult woman in a skimpy little spacesuit to help grab their attention. This is eerie degeneracy hiding in plain sight. The lady holding this toy happens to be Nuka Girl, the mascot for this particular ad campaign for Nuka-Cola. And oddly enough, it's tough to find the Nuka Blaster as titled outright, but resembling this toy is the aptly named Thirst Zapper. Maybe that's Nuka Girl's alter ego, and while it only squirts water initially, it can be upgraded to do the same damage as a Fat Man. Imagine you get a fresh box of Nuka-Cola, give little Timmy their new Nuka Blaster to play with outside, and seconds later you hear an explosion, your backyard is gone, and now you don't have to take Timmy to soccer practice tonight. Or ever again. It's a squirt gun only a few tweaks away from war crimes. I don't know what's worse, the toy weapon that kills the out-of-place sexual undertones, or overtones for that matter, in advertising directed at kids, or the fact that they say box instead of case. Disgusting. First ad fails inspection, let's see how the rest stack up. Nuka-Cola has a wide array of billboards, many of which seem to allude to Coca-Cola's advertising. This one right here is pretty interesting to me because it's kind of a fourth wall break, or at least it's pretty meta. See, it says, great new bottle rocket shape. Fallout 4 brought a new design to Nuka-Cola bottles, and instead of just leaving this unexplained, they added it as lore. It's not just new to us, but a new marketing angle the company was playing at. Boston, being a city of the future, might have been one of the first markets to get this new retro-futuristic design. But look, this actually goes a little bit deeper because we have an ad like this one sporting their logo and the phrase "have a nuke," which is probably older. We can even see the bottle looks more like the Nuka-Colas from previous games. Then This new line with the Nuka Girl mascot, rocket bottles, and space-age design was a part of a newer marketing campaign. That's a surprising level of attention to detail that could have been dismissed as, oh, it's a new game, the creatures look different, the design is different, the Nuka-Cola looks different, no big deal. Yet, they took the time to explain why in a very subtle way. That's a pass in my book. After drinking all that Nuka-Cola, your teeth are going to start to fall out, so before they're all gone, make sure you save what you have left with today's sponsor, Supradent toothpaste. Not really, that's not a sponsor, it's here in the Commonwealth, for the little superhero in your life. It's probably easier to land a plane on that kid's forehead than it is in the Boston airport's runways, but aside from being creepy as hell, there's nothing terribly unethical going on here. To be honest, I was hoping to find the toothpaste item in the world that can be used as a crafting ingredient naturally, and see that it contained nuclear waste or something, but nope, just plastic for the case, I'm assuming, and hoping, and antiseptic, which is normal. The toothpaste you can find is not labeled as Supradent, unfortunately, and it doesn't really resemble the design seen on the ad, so that's the biggest disappointment. As much as I don't want to, we'll still give it a pass. Illegal! Yeah, that's right. Bad, Red Rocket. Why, you ask? Let me answer your question with a question. You ever see a car wash in this game? Huh? You ever go to a Red Rocket station and think, oh look, a car wash? No. No, you haven't. They don't exist. If you have, you probably belong here. This is just straight up false advertising. Red Rocket's trying to get people to their locations in hopes they can get their cars clean, but they can't. Oh, my damn kid spilled Nuka-Cola and toothpaste all over my car. Guess I'll head over to Red Rocket to get it cleaned. Nope. The big signs that would normally show fuel prices instead display coolant, which I guess means you go here to make sure your car's nuclear engine doesn't explode. I suppose that's pretty important. So people are driving around and ticking time bombs waiting to go off if they don't get their coolant in time. Car wash ad still fails inspection. Another ad for Red Rocket shows this robot giving you the OK hand sign, and their logo says gasoline diesel fusion. Is that a combo meal? Do they offer all three separately? These stations don't have enough pumps as is, and they sure as hell don't have enough for gasoline, diesel, and fusion. I'm guessing people had to come here to get coolant for their cars, and then they could grab a snack or a coffee on the inside. Don't expect a bathroom, of course. Even if you're an employee. Fails inspection on every level. This next one probably isn't illegal, but it is overpriced diabetes bait. $42 for 12 donuts is ridiculous, but this is likely just a result of inflation and a questionable economy. People still might criticize Slocum's Joe for marketing their sugary snacks to children, but whatever. This ad starts to make way less sense when you pair it with another Slocum's Joe ad. This shows an offer for a large coffee and a jelly donut for $30. Why the hell are you paying $30 for murky water and a single donut when 12 donuts cost you only $42? You'd probably be more cost effective if you bought just a coffee on its own and then the dozen donuts. Stick with me here, let's do some math. I'll do the math, you can relax. $42 divided by the 12 donuts would mean each donut costs you $3.50. You only get one donut for the coffee combo offer at $30. If we subtract $3.50 from $30, that leaves you with a $26.50 large coffee. Look, I like coffee as much as the next guy, probably more, but for $26.50, I'm stealing that shit. We'll be Envy Ranger and crime. Questionable pricing aside, both of these pass inspection. This next one is interesting because it's an ad for a hospital, the Milton General Hospital specifically. This is meant to be a robotically automated hospital given their slogan, human empathy, robotic precision. Not sure the robots upheld the human empathy standard, given their first instinct is to assault you and attempt a common form of surgery known as murder. Here's a great little detail I know you're just gonna love. You're gonna eat it up. It's delicious. It's juicy. This hospital is built in the Googie aesthetic, retro future, and all that good stuff. Go check out this video if you're interested to learn more about that. Anyway, this saucer-like roof element to the hospital fits that design, but it's not just for looks. If we fly up on here, we can see this is actually a landing pad for a helicopter. Problem is, there's no doorway up here. You cannot enter the hospital from the helipad. What the hell is the point of flying a patient in here in a medical emergency if you can't even get them into the building? All we know is this hospital was funded by church donations and money from the city before becoming a booming business after automating with these nurse handies and handy MDs. This just sounds like a hospital full of sexual innuendos, but they used the extra income from their automation to employ a considerable legal team, not for the sexual innuendos, but for the medical advertising, which was probably offering a false promise. Medical claims require proof, and the only proof we have of anything is these robots have a few screws loose. I mean, just look at the model of Nurse Handy. What about this screams handy? I mean, surgical precision. 2 buzzsaws and a pair of tongs? Even their in-game stats are set to high aggression. Illegal. Go to jail, do not pass go, or use the helipad. Makes you wonder what kind of horror show was going on in here. This subject shows us some clear government propaganda mixed in with other commercial ads that allude to the Red Scare and McCarthyism. In our timeline, we had 2 Red Scares. First, from 1917 to 1920, and again in the 40s and 50s. The latter especially involved a reaction to the growing power of communist states like the Soviet Union and China. I'm sure you're familiar. This kind of propagandistic advertising likely tells us there was at least a third Red Scare in the US during the resource wars. What's perhaps more interesting to me about this ad is it's indirectly and subconsciously dunking on the Zip, this little car, which has its own billboard ad. It's showing the devil commie inside of this vehicle, communicating to the public that communists drive little cars, like the Zip. Not to mention, it's telling citizens they need to surveil their neighbors and tell on them if they get suspicious. All of a sudden, your neighbor comes home in their brand new micro sedan all happy, and you have the FBI showing up at his door. Good job. Tell me you can't imagine someone driving their sleek sports car or a big picker-up truck talking bad about people who drive their little Zips and Fusion Fleas, and a part of that could be due to this ad. Something a bit odd about the vehicle ads in the Commonwealth more generally is that they don't have a manufacturer label on them. What company makes the Zip, the Lone Wanderer motorcycle, the picker-up truck, the Cherry Bomb that is apparently the first car to break the sound barrier as listed on its billboard? But what isn't on the billboard? The manufacturer. If this was made by Corvega, you'd think they'd want to stick their name on it, but maybe they dominated the market so much they didn't even need to put it there. The Zip could also be from a foreign manufacturer who just pissed off the US government. Now they're getting sneak dissed and propaganda, or maybe Corvega's just out here catching strays because the big commie devil looks silly in a tiny car. We can see Corvega had their name on ads in previous titles. Regardless, they still pass inspection, even if their vehicles wouldn't. Alright, get a look at this one. Gray Tortoise Famous Cigarettes. Something clearly didn't click in this timeline because this would not be allowed today. It needs Surgeon General warnings on it, it needs a health risk disclosure, and it needs to be taken down because the 1998 Master Settlement Agreement forbids its existence. You cannot advertise cigarettes on billboards in the US. It's difficult to advertise them in any capacity really, given heavy restrictions and regulation. Obviously, that didn't happen in Fallout, alternate timeline and all, or Gray Tortoise Cigs just don't give a damn. My bet is on the former because we can find a cigarette dispenser in front of a middle school in the Commonwealth. Look, I get it, man. Teachers stressing you out with all that extra homework. Having yourself a Pop-Tart and a puff takes the edge off. Also, can we just talk about the design of this ad? It's boring. Who made this? I get it's faded, but still a bland use of color in the sea of Nuka-Cola Reds and retro future hot rod ads. Then there's this cig company just like, here's a normal painting of a tortoise, buy our cigs. If they're allowed to make an advertisement, you'd think they'd have some Don Draper looking guy taking a drag with the Nuka girl in his arms while he leans on his sound barrier breaking hot rod. Now that's cool. That makes you want a cigarette. Just saying, Great Tortoise. If you're looking to hire someone in advertising, we got you covered. Even better, Don Draper, but with a tortoise head. Think about that. You can also think about why your ad failed inspection. This ad right here is essentially a recreation of an ad in Fallout 3, and this is undoubtedly the work of Vault-Tec. Yeah, Vault-Tec didn't have ties to the government. There is no way this billboard would be up for the public to see. This is a private company monetizing nuclear fear-mongering. Notice how everyone in line is calm, happy even, feeling reassured they got their spot in the vault, and Vault-Tec's mascot, Vault Boy, is watching them cheerfully as 2 enormous mushroom clouds rise in the distance. The juxtaposition of their calm, happy faces, feeling good about things as the world is clearly ending, is pretty off-putting. To make matters worse, both ads target parents and children, almost as if to say, if you don't buy your spot in the vault, you're failing your child. Even though the vast majority of people weren't getting into a vault, and many of those who did I promise, will end up wishing they just died like everyone else. This all completely checks out though, because Vault-Tec had serious leverage over the US government, who was paying them to make the vaults. They clearly had immense power to make this ad. Not to mention, it looks like civil defense messaging from the government. But remember, Vault-Tec is a private corporation. A little corruption here and foreign pressure there, and they can put up whatever the hell they want. This ad is hardly the worst of their crimes against humanity anyway. It's neat that we essentially got an updated version of the original. It needed it, to be honest. Look at these faces. No wonder they were happy the world was ending. Alright, let's head over to Sin City and see if their billboards can compete in this moral landslide. First, check this guy out. It has a detail I just absolutely love. It warms my heart, and I had no idea it existed. Let me give you some context first. New Vegas takes place in the pre-war city of Las Vegas. No shit, Sherlock, thanks, but when people say Las Vegas, they're generally referring to the greater Las Vegas Valley area, not the actual city limits, which is a whole different story. Within that area is another city of sorts called Henderson in the southeast between the Strip and Boulder City. In-game, we have very little indication of this place. It's not really outwardly recognized. We do actually see the rail yard here along with Lake Las Vegas. Kind of strange on Google Maps, the rail yard is kind of cut out from Henderson and maybe technically not a part of it. Bringing this back to the billboards, the first time I have ever found anything in New Vegas that mentions Henderson is right here on this RepCon HQ advertisement. RepCon HQ would also have been in Henderson. But down here at the bottom of the sign, you can see blast up Highway 95 to RepCon HQ in lovely Henderson. I've never noticed this before. I know it might be an underwhelming detail to some, but to me, it made me unreasonably happy. Boom, butt right in your face as you're driving down the highway. Wonder how many nuclear car accidents this caused. Imagine explaining this one to your kid. Oh yeah, it's just a place that helps women who fall on their knees get back up. Yeah, they're helping something get up, that's for sure. This billboard implies prostitution, which is absolutely not legal in modern day Las Vegas. It might surprise some, but it's true. It was made expressly illegal in Clark County in 1971, that being the county Vegas is in, along with the entire southern tip of Nevada. There are counties in the state of Nevada where it is legal. I'll let you do your own research there. I'm not sure this was the case in the pre-war, but the Gomorrah is the only casino in the New Vegas Strip to offer the advertised service for some reason, which is kind of strange. The other two must just be leaving profits on the table, and I doubt it's due to a strong moral fiber. That was a testy billboard in more ways than one, but this next one somehow manages to be even more shameless. So we're coming full circle from that Nuka-Cola ad that was trying to lure kids to a toy with a sexy lady. This one isn't aimed at kids, but this half-naked woman is riding a child's hobby horse, and this is a billboard tons of kids are going to see riding down the highway again. You also have these women lined up behind a cattle fence, definitely implying prostitution once again, among other things. Beyond the public indecency, it's also an ad for the Nevada State Lottery, utilizing sexual messaging. The very state stooping to this level to get people buying lottery tickets, and what this communicates to the greater public, very dystopian. It's one thing for a corporation to use this kind of advertising, but when your own government is going, look boobs, buy our lottery tickets, you have to be falling off the deep end of degeneracy. Funny enough, this ad is connected to the very tickets we can find in Nipton, the same ones the Legion uses to host their lottery. You can see the art on the ticket actually matches the hobby horse riding pinup girl from the billboard. This brings in an additional layer in the very subtle storytelling here with what the Legion is doing and communicating their distaste for. This ad and lottery art represents what they think of the NCR and their culture. They despise this kind of hedonism, and the NCR is a faction that seeks to mimic the very pre-war society this ad originates from. The funny thing about all of this is Nevada has never had a state-run lottery. It's banned in their very constitution, and the big casino companies want nothing to do with this because it would just add competition. How's that for a couple fun facts? Sin City doesn't have prostitution or the lottery. Getting today's Envy Ranger & Co. stamp of disapproval as the most egregious billboard ad we have looked at is the Nuka-Cola one that offers a blaster toy in every box while using sexualized imagery of an adult woman. I don't even know if Bethesda meant for this to be so outlandish given how subtle it is. I can imagine this being an oversight or something they didn't even connect the dots on, But I can also imagine that it was an intentional hint into how dystopian and disturbed the society was prior to the Great War. Like I was saying at the beginning, these ads are windows into the past. They're monuments of an ancient society to us by the late 2200s. The world they belong to is far more separate from the current day than just a couple hundred years. Just like people look back on ancient pyramids and other symbols that outlived the people who made them, we look back at these billboards with the illustrations of a time period we're never fully going to grasp. Through what remains are we able to get the slightest idea of the people who left them behind, and maybe it's the wrong idea. They're single frames we use to mythologize pre-war existence, leaving behind a world permanently incomplete. Anywho, it's time for me to get back to the NCR's propaganda team. Advertising team. I need to scratch out box first, though. They don't need to see that. It's case. Who the hell says box?